remember to click the notification bell to get notifications when I upload new content. Thank you. See you soon. Hello, beautiful soul. Welcome to my channel. My name is Joanna. If the universe brought you here for the first time, thank you so much for being here. My intention is to help you live life in this world in more expanded ways. My intention is not only to help you survive in this life, and when I say survival, I don't mean the bodily survival, I mean emotional survival. My intention is really to help you recategorize yourself. In other words, if you think of yourself as someone who lacks something, my intention is to help you realize that you're not that person at all, that it's only an illusion and you lack no thing. And as a result of lacking no thing, you are a immensely powerful being. You are also immensely powerful when you think you lack something, but it just means that to the degree of which you use your power will be very limited. You will literally limit your own power. And my job is to help you not do that. Unless you choose to do it consciously and say, yes, I want to limit my own power. Go for it. But likely it is something that's very, very, very unconscious and hidden from your view. So my job is just to bring those things out to the table, if you will, so that you can deal with it. Ultimately leading to a healthier expression. And you are an expression of, some call it God, I call it source, universe. You are an expression of all that is. You are an expression of the entire consciousness. And because you're an expression of it, it has your back. It knows everything about you. It cannot help but support you. In other words, the universe is always in support of you, whatever it is that you desire to experience at any given moment, at any given time. My passion is to help you realize that just because you are in this moment having a certain experience, that does not make you the experience itself, that you are more than the experience, that you are far more powerful than the experience that you are having. And the byproduct of having an experience is thinking that you are the experience. So if you're having a negative experience, you deem this experience as something bad. And bad things seem to stick to us. Why do bad things stick to us? Why do negative beliefs and negative stories and limitations, why do they have this sticking effect? Why does it stick to us? Why are we not more resourceful in terms of accepting something else? Why do we choose and continue to magnetize ourselves to things that aren't even real and things that are not helping us grow? So my job as Joanna is to bring whatever that is in some form so that it can help you see what that is for you. If you are limiting yourself in any way, and yes, you are, because you're a human being, then my job is to help you literally limit yourself less. And if I've done that even in a minutest detail, then I consider it a job well done. And oh my God, my guides are funny. They're asking me to say, I don't work for the government. I work for God. Okay. Universe, whatever. So, whatever that being says goes. That's what I do. Okay. And the purpose of why I'm doing this, because the universe wants to communicate something to you, and I happen to be the vehicle. It's just humorous how it was shown to me. So, if this is your first time, I hope you stay. I hope you realize something about yourself that can profoundly change your life for the better. And if you choose to follow the guidance and you begin to realize how freaking powerful you are, then I hope you come back to this channel and press the like button or subscribe button, or the notification button or share button to help me share this information, because if it's proving for you to be positive, it'll probably likely prove for someone else to be positive. And when we can spread positive information that's very empowering to other people, then what we are doing is we are giving people a chance to realize their power. And the more I can do that, the more we will become a more empowered consciousness. And you are part of the consciousness itself. For those of you who are returning, thank you so much for being here. I have a very interesting energy today, a subject actually that I never talk about. So this is going to probably raise some eyebrows, because I raised my eyebrows when I began to receive this information. And what we're going to talk about is healing your own sexuality. I'm like, oh, okay, that's what you want me to talk about. Interesting. So if the word sexuality scares you, annoys you, freaks you out, makes you go, oh, then chances are there is some little reaction happening within your body at the very mention of the word sexuality, which means there is some charge there. And a lot of it is fears around sexuality. So, and why is it important? I said, okay, why is it important to talk about sexuality? And what I'm getting is that sexual energy is extraordinarily potent. It is a creative force itself. Sexual energy is a creative force itself. Now, we humans confuse sex with our bodies. There's a lot of confusion around sexuality, suppression, confusion, fear. I'm not allowed. All that does, it literally suppresses our own innate power to powerfully create. So if you have any challenges around sexuality, and likely you do listening to this channel, because my understanding is that majority of humanity, and that's 51%, 50.5, experiences some issues around sexuality, which means at least half of the entire human population is not really benefiting from their incredible power because they're suppressing it. So you might say that half of the population is living in a disempowered state. That's a big ratio. And I believe there's far more than 50%. I would say it's more like 80 or 90, but that's just my thinking. But sexuality is big, and we have a lot of fears around that. Oh boy, we could probably spend hours talking about all the different do's and don'ts, beliefs and disbeliefs and illusions around sexuality. Point is this: when we suppress our sexuality, we suppress our own godliness inside. What does that mean? It means sexuality and quote-unquote God are one. They go hand in hand. Sexuality is an expression of the one. Sexuality is expression of God. Sexuality is expression of all that is. It's a very real thing, if I may say. We humans confuse it with bodies. Using sexual energy does not mean it has to be with another body, or it has to be a body thing. Okay, I'm gonna have to get a whole download on that. Sexual expression is very important in life, as we all know. If we didn't have sexual expression, none of us would be alive. And since we are all alive, we come from some sort of sexual expression. So they want me to talk about healing your sexuality. It's like, wow, okay, that's going to raise some eyebrows. Why would that be important right now? Well, for one, sexuality is situated, if you will, or sexual energy is situated in the sacral chakra. It's in the second chakra in every single human being. This is primarily the creative center. Okay? It's where things come alive. It's when a creative expression begins to form before it's expressed out into the world. If we have a lot of issues around sexuality and intimacy, then our sacral chakra will be consequently not as healthy as it could be, which means you are less likely to create your desires. That's actually a good way of saying it. Why? Because you are expressing your creative force. So to heal your sexuality is really healing your idea of godliness. If you think of sexuality as dirty, what you are saying is that godliness is dirty, that God is dirty, the universe is dirty. That's a belief. It's a very heavy belief, unfortunately, but it's a belief. And it does one thing, it suppresses it. Okay? As an idea of it being dirty, we hide away from it, we suppress it. We hide away from it, at least in front of other people, and inside we get into it quite heavily. So we deny it. Anything you deny about yourself will never go away. It's always going to be there, trying to express itself out. And there's a lot of beingness within ourselves that is still waiting to be expressed. In other words, every single human being has the potential to have an enormous experience, but until we realize we have the potential and then we allow ourselves to create this potential, nothing is ever going to happen. So if you think of sex as dirty or as sexuality as dirty, you are suppressing your own creative power. Now, I come from an environment where certainly that was one thing where there was a lot of fear and shame put on it. A lot of shame, a lot of judgment, a lot of shame. Not unlike in other places, I'm sure. Some even more so. The idea that sexuality is something dirty. It's been oppressed. Naturally, I am a product of that environment, so naturally I would have some of those oppressions, which affect my sacral chakra like it would affect your sacral chakra. So one of the most empowering things you can do for yourself is to release yourself from sexual trauma. I'm being asked to say these specific words. Release yourself from your own specific trauma. Now, for some of you, specific trauma around sexuality is the obvious. You have been violated sexually, okay? Abused. For others, it's a lot of heavy information and suppression. Don't do this, don't do that. Don't let people see you naked. It's a result of the idea being dirtied up. In either case, it's not balanced. And we already know that if we live life out of an unbalanced state, our life is going to feel like it is out of balance. Some things will feel very heavy. And we don't want too much heaviness. We don't want too much lightness. We want a little bit of both. We want a good balance, right? It's very difficult to live a well-balanced life with a very suppressed sexuality, because when you suppress your own sexuality, you will suppress in your own sexuality. It's like you will hold yourself from being fully alive. And who doesn't want to be fully alive? That's why you're here. You're here to be fully alive, to be fully realized. So one of the pitfalls of spirituality apparently is that One believes that in order to become spiritual, you have to not be a sexual person. You have to deny your own sexuality. You have to somehow say no to sex, whatever it is. That's absurd. It's absurd. In fact, if you are denying your sexuality, you are denying your own spiritual self. That's what you're doing. And there are many out there who judge based on the idea of spirituality and sensuality. And for many people, it does not go hand in hand. How could it not go hand in hand? How can it not be hand in hand? You are a spiritual being. Sexuality is part of you. Sexuality is an expression of the one. You are part of the one. How can it be not good? So all of those of you who are suppressing your own sexuality, and if you're hearing this message is for you. I don't know why, but this is what they asked me to talk about today, which I gotta say was a little bit uncomfortable, because it's like, okay, that's not normally something I get into, but okay, here I am. Maybe this is what you needed to hear. Are you afraid of being too sexual? Are you afraid of being not enough sexual? Are you afraid of being not good enough when it comes to sexuality? Are you afraid that you're going to be taken advantage of if you embody your full sensuality and sexuality? Now, just for the record, and I'm having this conversation with them, embodying your sexuality does not mean that you go out in public and spread your legs or whatever else you do, and you decide to have sexual act in an open space around people you don't know. It does not mean that, obviously, but if I need to say it to somebody, here it is. That's not what I mean. What I mean is to embracing that you are a sexual being. Embrace it. What does it mean to you to embrace your sexuality? That's a very important question. If you're listening to this, you might want to ask yourself, what does it mean to me to fully embrace my sexuality? Does your sexuality scare you? In fact, does it terrify you? Are you afraid other people are going to look at you? Maybe. But are you afraid of drawing the wrong attention because you've been told, no, you're going to draw the wrong attention on you, and people are going to take advantage of you, for example? Okay? It's a story. What story are you living out around your own sexuality? What are your quote-unquote sentiments around the idea of sexuality? What are your fears around sexuality? What have you been suppressing within yourself around the idea of sexuality? Do you believe that you are a powerful being and create anything you want? Well, as a powerful being, how do I say this? As a powerful being, you have created this reality for yourself. This is you watching this, listening to this, having this experience is you, your soul, being in its full power, creating this experience so that you as the human being can have this experience as the human body. Okay, but you're not the human body. And one of the reasons why you're here is to heal from certain things. You have had many traumas in other past lives around issues of sexuality and sensuality. For some of you, you were not allowed to be a healthy, sexually healthy male or female, and you've dragged those energies back into this lifetime. Which means something in your life has transpired in order to bring out those energy. So if you have any fears around sexuality or sensuality, it's very important for you to realize that when you suppress it, when you are afraid of it, what you are essentially saying is, I am afraid of my own power. I want you to realize that. I'm not asking you to go out there and do sexual acts with every single person you see. That is absolutely unbalanced way of using your sexual power, obviously. Just in case you're wondering. On the other hand, if you're terrified and if you stay away from it, but you tell yourself, oh no, it's not important. Darling, if it wasn't important, it wouldn't be part of you, and every bit of you is just as important as everything else. Of course it's important. It's your creative force, for God's sake. Do you realize that? Your creativity comes from your sexuality center. This is where your center is, your sacral chakra. That's where the creative center is. That's where the creative fire is. Have you been shutting it down? Have you been shamed for it? Have you been ridiculed for it? Have you been looked up and down and disapproved of because you identify yourself as a sexual being? Does intimacy scare you? Do you put a lot of judgments on people who are sexually or sensually much more open? Do you put a lot of judgments? Do you get the picture. I think everyone can understand the basic concept around issues around sexuality. If you don't have any, this is going to make no sense to you, but I bet 99.9% of you listening to this at some point can probably identify with some issues around sexuality. That's because you are born into a human body, and for most of us humans, we think of sex as dirty. Not everyone, some less than others. I mean, it's again, the whole idea of being dirty. So chances are you did not grow up in a very sexually healthy environment. I can probably bet that's the case. And if you haven't, then on some level you are not fully embodying it. It's just that simple. 1 + 1 = 2. Okay? The question is this: are you afraid of embodying your sexuality? Because if you are afraid of embodying your sexuality, what you're also saying is that you are afraid of embodying your true power. So, to be fully empowered being, to embody being fully embodied being, also means healing your sexual trauma, healing your sexual ideas, your sexuality, your sensuality, sexuality, healing that. That's part of becoming conscious spiritual being. Does not mean that when you become a conscious spiritual being, you deny yourself of your sexuality. No, that's the paradox. It means you're at peace with it. You're no longer denying it. You are embodying it and working through whatever thing you were taught about sexuality and slowly releasing them one by one. Realizing that to be fully powerful creator, conscious creator, a lot of that powerful creative energy comes from that sexual center. Okay? So you have to be okay with being a sexual human being, because that's what you are. It does not mean you have to go and have sex with everybody. That's not what it means. That's not what it means. It also doesn't mean to hide from it. That's not what it means. It's to have a sexual, healthy relationship with your sexuality. So there's a question here. What is a healthy sexuality? I actually asked that question when they were talking to me earlier. I thought, I don't even know what that would be, because depending on where you come from, we have all these different rules and judgments, and you know, from a higher level, there is no rules around sexuality. It's just an expression. We humans have certain rules. So I would say, and that's just me, Joanna, speaking, that a healthy sexuality will often be molded collectively as consciousness, as consciousness. So we as humans think of sexuality in a certain way, and then It's either out of balance or in balance, or one way or the other. We're not here to hide or shame our sexuality. We're here to fully express our own uniqueness, our own individualness, which includes sexuality and sensuality. I don't know why they're asking me to talk about this subject today, but apparently it's very important. Okay? It's your sacral chakra, basically. It's your, they're saying to me that it's also your body intuitive center. I'm like, what does that even mean? They're saying this is also where you feel a lot when you get psychic impressions. I never thought about it that way. A lot of people get it in the gut, but I wonder if it's actually your sacral chakra. That's really interesting. That's really interesting. I don't know if that's true. That's what they're telling me. So, bottom line is this. If you're hearing this, if you're listening to this and you have stuck with this for this long, and if it piqued your interest and you go, that's interesting, why am I hearing this now? Then chances are there's something in this for you. There's something that maybe this is helping you realize. And as a result of this realization, you can decide to live your life differently, to make different choices, to choose differently for yourself, in other words. So do with it what you will. I would encourage you to be honest with yourself. Don't hide away from yourself if in fact you have some challenges around sexuality, if you have been suppressing your sexuality. They're asking me also to talk about suppression of intimacy. Now, you can be someone who is sexually very expressive in terms of a sexual act, but you absolutely stay away from intimacy. Okay, that's not healthy either. That's not healthy. You're just having a very controlled body transaction. You're not having the full experience, because part of expressing sexuality comes with the experience of feeling intimacy. It goes hand in hand. That's what I'm being asked to say. So if you are afraid of intimacy, well, you can have sex. You don't have to feel intimate, although it's of course an intimate type situation, but you don't have to open yourself up. You can just be completely closed off and just be a body. If you're afraid of intimacy, you have to ask yourself the question, why? Why am I so afraid of intimacy? Because ultimately what it does, it prevents you from experiencing intimacy. And let me tell you, everyone wants to experience intimacy. And do you know why? One of the benefits of experiencing intimacy, it makes us or allows us to feel safe. Think about it. In order for you to be intimate with someone, to be fully vulnerable with someone, you have to be safe. You have to feel safe. Or you have to at least allow yourself the opportunity to feel safe. And some of you have massive challenges around expressing your sexuality, sensuality, and challenges around intimacy. If you have challenges around intimacy, then there is a lesson in forgiving there for you. Something to do with forgiving, whether it's forgiving yourself, forgiving the oppressor. Maybe you experienced life as an oppressor, or you had an oppressor in early childhood, and somehow that has made you be afraid of being intimate. Somehow it affected your intimacy. It makes sense, because if you don't feel safe, you're not gonna open yourself up. Of course, it's 1 + 1 = 2. It's a perfect equation. So if you yourself have issues with intimacy, you need to look into where did this happen? Why did it happen? Because you have your reason for it. And most importantly, how do you heal it? But first ask yourself a question. Do I want to heal it? If you have challenges with intimacy, ask yourself, would I like to experience intimacy? Now, if the part of you that says no is very loud, that part of you is saying no for the simple reason of wanting to protect you. Your true you, of course, wants to experience intimacy. Because it's a powerful way to be. That's what I'm being asked to say. So if you want to live more than just an ordinary life, you might want to look at your intimacy issues. You can be in a relationship with somebody and still not feel intimate or be afraid of being intimate in a relationship. Okay? And they're saying to me, in a relationship, fear of intimacy, there is nothing that kills sexuality quicker than that. Because anybody can have a sexual act, but to have a fully on sexual experience, not just the body part, that requires a lot more. That requires a lot more parts than just a physical body. It requires your whole beingness, your entire beingness to be part of the process, not just your head and your body. Okay? So for those of you who do have challenges with sexual energy, I want to say these words, and I mean them in the most loving way. Do yourself a favor. Please look into healing any issues you may have around sexuality, because I promise you, and I don't say this lightly, but I promise you, when you begin to heal those issues around sexuality or sensuality, about being a powerful, for some of you, I want to say physically attractive person. It's like you either deny your attractiveness or you don't feel that you're attractive. Oh my God, my guides are funny. Seriously, my guides are funny. This is what they said. I kid you not. I love their sense of humor. They said, God doesn't make ugly people. Oh my God, that is so good. God doesn't make ugly people. It's true. In God's eyes, everyone and everything is beautiful. So I want you to think of yourself the way God sees you, that you're freaking beautiful in your own unique way. And don't look to some societal standards to tell you this. If you meet these criteria, that means you're beautiful. If you don't, then you're not. Pardon my French. That's a whole bunch of bullshit. Now, we are naturally drawn into attractive things. Point saying is this. For you specifically, whoever you are, if you don't feel of yourself as attractive, or if you are afraid of your attractiveness, that is going to absolutely kill your sexuality and your sensuality. If not kill, then certainly dim it down. Okay? Because there's a fear component in it. You want to look into it. Why do you want to look into it? Again, your sexuality, sensuality. Notice I'm saying sexuality and sensuality. Okay? It's both. Because you can be a sensual person without having a sexual act. Obviously, it's just it's an energy. We tend to think of women as being more sensual because that's a very feminine energy, and men, generally speaking, embody less. Not always, generally speaking. You know what? I don't even want to say generally speaking. That aside, because I feel like that's a whole different subject that we could get into, and I don't want to right now. All I'm saying is this. You are beautiful. Yes, you. You are a sexual being. Don't deny yourself your sexuality and sensuality. Because when you do, you deny the godliness within you. That's what you're doing. When you shame you are shaming your own inner godliness. Okay? When you have hatred around sexuality, you have hatred around yourself, part of yourself. Now, surely you don't want to hate yourself or deny yourself, because all it does, it produces less than favorable results in terms of us creating what we want. They're giving me an example. You're never going to build a powerful castle with just a shovel. No, you need more tools. Hopefully we're giving you more tools, but in more serious way, do yourself a favor and please address your issues around sacral chakra and sexuality and sensuality, your intimacy. If you have fears of being abandoned, that will also affect your sexuality. It will absolutely affect your intimacy, 100%. Okay, 99.9. If you don't feel safe in your own body, that will also affect, negatively impact your ability to create and being fully in your power. So you want to, I keep reiterating, healing your sexuality and sensuality, but I want to express why. Why is it that's important? Obviously, the idea of healing is important because who wants to be not healed? So that's healing in itself is important. But why is it so important? Why do we want to heal? Why? What's the benefit? Here's why. The benefit of healing your intimacy and sexuality challenges allows you to become a more powerful creator. That's why. A much more powerful magnet to what you want to magnetize for yourself. Any suppression you create within yourself reduces the level of the pure energy you have to your disposal in order to convert that energy into your 3D experience. That's why. And I want each and every single one of you, myself included, to be a kick-ass creator. To be so powerful, pardon me, thank you. They say, no, not be, to feel so powerful that I never, ever, ever, ever have to, again, talk about power, because it'll just be a thing that everyone experiences and it'll just be part of who we are. We'll just naturally be an empowered people. That's it. Oh man, I think life would be different. An empowered person doesn't fight with him or herself. Thank you. It doesn't mean they don't have different ideas, different beliefs, but an empowered person doesn't put themselves down. They don't minimize themselves. They think of themselves as important, not overly important or more important than other people, not less important than other people, but equally important. Everything in life has its own importance. It has its own value. Every single individual, however small, however big, however it looks or doesn't look, has its place in this universe, and it's of value. Everything. So are you. So if you don't think of yourself as of value, you're missing the point. It's like you're missing the point. You're here to experience your value. What does that mean when you say to experience your value? Thank you. They're saying to experience your value simply means to experience to the fullest possible way your godliness. Okay? That's what you're here to do. How you do it, how you decide to do it, how you decide to suppress it or oppress it, that all depends on your individual ego understanding. But aside from that, you are already a kick-ass powerful being. When everybody realizes that's who they are, there's going to be no need for competition. There's not going to be no need for fighting. There's going to be no need to experience scarcity, because we will realize that we create our own scarcity. Some of us don't know how exactly, but that's my hope, is to bring that information out to you to help you understand how you create your reality. Thank you. How you co-create your reality, and how life does not happen to you, but it's more like how you make life happen. And there will be a lot of objections right about now. What do you mean I make life happen? I did not make this happen. No, not consciously you didn't. Your soul created this with you. You are creating this in every moment. Now, you may not want to be creating this as a human understanding, having a body, a human body, and a human understanding. But that other part of you that is beyond your humanness is actually enjoying this. And I mean that quite seriously. Because that part of you that is enjoying this experience, even though you might be struggling a little bit, knows that you're eternal. You are eternal. You're just having an experience, and it's not even real, but you don't remember that. You think it's real. Well, it's not that it isn't real, but when you are in a dream, the reason why we call it a dream, because we think it's a figment of our imagination. That, however, I'm sure you've had dreams that were more real than your real life. Then the question becomes, well, which one is it really real? Which one is real? How do we know that our real right now is the real? How do we know we're not dreaming? And then when we check into our dreamscape that we are actually going to the real, how do we know that? We don't. Now, that may be confusing to the human mind. I know it is hitting me, Joanna, in an interesting, funny way. Because I'm literally realizing that there are many realities happening all at one time. There's many aspects of you functioning on so many different levels. You are just mostly aware of your conscious level, which includes your body. But just because you have body and consciousness of having a body doesn't mean that there's another part of you that exists without a body. In fact, it does, and it's bigger than you right now in your body. There's more to you in the unseen than in the seen. Now, it doesn't mean that you in the seen are somehow less or small. No, you are still a derivative of your beautiful, powerful energy. You're just not expressing it to the fullest in the physical body because your physical body, for one, can't handle it. It would blow you up. Okay? So, will you love yourself? No. Will you love yourself enough today to ask yourself this question? Do I, in my own truth, deny and or suppress my own sexuality and sensuality? Okay? In your own truth. If the answer is yes, say, okay, thank you. The next answer would be, would you like to experience something of opposite nature? Would you like to experience life with you fully expressing your sexuality and sensuality? Would you like to experience what it's like? Okay. And by the way, you get to make your choices and decisions. Nothing is going to be happening to you. You will be fully in control. Okay. In other words, you will be in charge of your sexuality, and therefore you will do whatever you want with it or not. Okay. Or do you want to continue denying this part of you, shaming this part of you, berating this part of you, denying? Again, I'm saying the word denying, because here's the thing. That is you lowering your own frequency, and you already know how law of attraction works. You cannot experience something you are not in the vibration of. So if you are trying to experience love, for example, which is much higher vibration than fear, but you are stuck in fear, then you guys are not match. So healing this center will perhaps allow you elevate, will absolutely elevate you frequency-wise, and you'll be more of a match to expressing and attracting, for example, a loving mate or relationship. And that's just an example. Okay? Remember, it's all vibration. When we suppress, we naturally lower. When we express, we make it come to life. Okay? Any suppressing that we do has a lowering quality on the abilities that we have. In other words, our abilities, as powerful as they are in terms of being powerful creators, our abilities are dimmed or diminished by what we think and how we judge ourselves. Which means if we limit it, we're not going to be able to use it to the fullest. In other words, why would you want that for yourself? Chances are, if you are connecting with this information, you already know what that feels. Why would you want to keep feeling the way you feel if it doesn't feel good, if it's not the fullest expression of you? Heal your wounds and become a powerful kick-ass creator. That's what I want for you. I hope this was helpful. Obviously, if you would like help with this kind of stuff, it's a lot of shadow work and ego work, ego states, inner child. If you are looking for someone to help you, and if you find this energy resonating with you, then by all means, there's a link down below, and you can give me a shout and see if we can help you address some of these things. For those of you who are returning, thank you so much for being here again. If you are new, please subscribe to this channel. Let us all help everyone become powerful people, empowered people, so that we can all collectively live better lives. And the next video is going to be a pick a card. It'll be released in a couple of days. So if you want to click the notification bell, it will let you know when it's uploaded. And until then, I look forward to seeing you soon. Take care. Remember to click the notification bell to get notifications when I upload new content. Thank you. See you soon.